Welcome to the Brykks shithouse. Today I want to talk about the other Season 5 weapon addition, the new submachine gun, the ISO or the ISO. I don't really know what the hell to call it, but ISO sounds pretty stupid, so I'm going to call it the ISO. Although hearing that around, that sounds pretty stupid as well, so I don't really know what to call it then. But what's up with Infinity Ward lately? Who is in their name calling department? That's what I want to know. I mean, you got the ISO, and then you got the Fennec. The Fennec? What the hell is a Fennec? Sounds like a type of animal that sits all the way at the bottom of the food chain. Just everyone else's bitch in the animal kingdom. But now we're just getting off topic here. This is ridiculous. We need to put this gun to the test. We're gonna slap it around, see how it performs under pressure with damage. Maybe we'll check out some range, and if we're lucky, maybe we'll do some time to kill charts, because those are always fun, and the colors of the charts are very pleasing to the eye, especially when they blend. It's just oh so perfectly, like that fuchsia and purple right there. That's a beautiful thing. Just give me a second here. I gotta go grab a towel quickly. Let's kick things off the right way and talk about the damage. Here we are up at close range. The ISO is gonna do 22 points of damage to the limbs. That's the legs and the arms, making it a 5-shot kill when shooting to this area. Along with that, we've got 25 points of damage to the lower body, as well as 25 damage to the chest. And let's finish this off with 40 points of damage to the head. So all in all, it's going to take 3 to 5 shots to kill with the ISO at close range. Now we can bring on our first gun here. We've got the Fennec, and we've got the exact same damage profile up at close range. No difference here. And then hold on to your shorts. When I bring in the MP7, we've got the exact same damage profile again. It is only when I bring in the MP5 we see some deviation, where the MP5 is clearly stronger, requiring 1 less bullet to kill anywhere except to the head compared to the ISO. Now at medium range, the ISO becomes a 4 to 6 shot kill. This time around with the Fennec, we do see a little bit of a difference, but the only thing that matters is that the limbs are going to take 1 more bullet to kill. And much like close range, the MP7 has the exact same damage profile, so that's going to take 1 more shot to kill at the limbs as well. And Big Daddy MP5 this time just cleans house. It's coming in hot with 1 less bullet to kill, 2 less bullets to kill to the body area, so much to be expected with that hard-hitting MP5. Lastly, let's take a look at long range. The ISO is a 5 to 8 shot kill now, compared to the Fennec. Just like close range, once again, there's no differences between these two weapons. The MP7, however, on the other hand, finally gets an advantage to the headshot, requiring 1 less bullet. And of course, the MP5 once again requiring 1 to 2 less bullets to kill all around. So we're comparing 4 weapons here. That's obviously a lot of information to take in. All you need to know is the MP5 across the board is going to require less bullets to kill. It's more powerful. The Fennec and the MP7 are basically the exact same as the ISO, except they had a disadvantage at medium range to the limbs, and the MP7 has a slight advantage to the head at long range. Now, if I may, I want to talk about the Warzone damage charts. Now, the damage stays the same, obviously, but the health is increased to 250, which means the shots to kill is going to go up. So in a match of Warzone up close, there's going to be no difference here, obviously, because the damage numbers are the same, which means the shots to kill will be the same within those 3 guns. The MP5 obviously is on a whole nother level. However, this time at medium range, the Fennec and the MP7 still have that limb disadvantage, but they take the advantage with the headshot now. And in Warzone, we see another difference here at long range. The Fennec requires more bullets to kill at long range. How important long range is in Warzone is up to you when it comes to SMGs. I know I'm not really shooting people at long range. It's always up close and personal, so maybe the disadvantages and or the advantages at long range are maybe somewhat to be disregarded, but if you survive that mouthful for the last 3 minutes, let's move on to something a little more bright and colorful. Let's talk about range. Now, I always like to visualize range on everyone's favorite line of sight here on Shoot House. Starting with the ISO, that first bar represents its close range distance. Anything in that second bar is medium range. And then anything past that is going to be in the long range section for the ISO. Now the Fennec here used to have the longest range out of the viable SMGs, but the ISO is going to blow it out of the water, reigning the new king of range amongst the SMGs. The MP7 is a similar story to the Fennec, very similar range profiles, and the MP5, if you remember correctly, had a nerf a few weeks back, making it definitely the worst range out of these 4 SMGs. We can throw some numbers down to get really detailed here. Obviously, as mentioned before, the ISO has some magnificent range on it. We can see how far each distance is in meters and the respective shots to kill within those ranges. Comparing it with the other SMGs, we can see just how big of an advantage the ISO has when it comes to range. The other three SMGs kind of hover within the same numbers, except for maybe the MP5's medium range distance. But yeah, the ISO is bringing the heat today. It's bringing the heat, especially when it comes to range. But let's see how it pairs up on the time to kill section. Let's get started there. Now, time to kill is the amount of time it takes to kill your enemy with a constant stream of bullets. In order to calculate that, we must first determine the fire rate of our weapons. So for the iOS here, we can do some quick math. Blowing through 30 rounds in 2 seconds is going to give us a fire rate of 900 rounds per minute. Now, thankfully, we've already calculated the fire rate for the other 3 SMGs. So we can see that our ISO fire rate of 900 sits kind of run-of-the-mill in terms of these other SMGs. So let's see how this affects the ISO's time to kill. So here we have our time to kill charts at 3 respective ranges. We're going to go ahead and color in the body parts with the corresponding weapon that will kill faster when shot at these ranges in these particular areas of the body. Now let's look at the Fennec first, and what we see is a sea of green. This isn't really too surprising considering how close the damage profiles were for these 2 weapons and the fact that the Fennec has a much faster fire rate. However, you must remember that this time to kill is at their each respective range, and the ISO has a much greater range than the Fennec. So for example, looking at the close range section of that time to kill chart, we could be standing right here, where we'd be in the close range section of each weapon. But you could also be right here, which means you'd still be in the ISO's close range section, but you'd be in the Fennec's medium range section, which would mean your time to kill would definitely be quicker for the ISO. So just keep that in mind when we talk about time to kill charts. I might as well hit you with the Warzone time to kill chart for the Fennec while I got your attention. And here we see complete dominance by the Fennec. Its super insanely fast fire rate really makes it a force to be reckoned with, especially when it comes to time to kill. We can take a look at the next SMG, the MP7. We expected these charts to look similar because of the similarities between the MP7 and the Fennec. The only difference is at medium range, the ISO actually takes the advantage when shooting at the limbs. The Warzone graph for these 2 weapons gives us something a little more interesting. In Warzone, the MP7 actually does neutralize the limbs at medium range. However, this time around it falls short at long range. The ISO takes over the limbs section, whereas the MP7 just gets the headshot. How important is time to kill at long range in Warzone is up to you. To me, it's never really too important, as we've already iterated that's just a decision you're going to have to make. Let's check out our last SMG, the MP5, and see how it compares. Here we can see the MP5 cleans house. This is maybe not too surprising as these 2 weapons have a very similar fire rate, yet the MP5 does a lot more damage. Now if I slap up the Warzone chart, nothing actually changes at all. The MP5 just completely dominates when it comes to time to kill, and actually to the contrary of what we talked about earlier in terms of being in your respective ranges, the MP5 is so powerful that even if you're in the medium range of the MP5 while still being in the close range of the ISO, the time to kill is actually the exact same between both weapons. So there's a very unique situation that doesn't happen a lot, and just completely showcases the dominance of the MP5 and how powerful of a weapon it truly is. So with that being said, let's discuss one last main attribute of these weapons. Let's talk about recoil. So the ISOs had pretty modest damage. It absolutely dummied the other SMGs when it came to range. It fell a little bit short with time to kill, but let's take a look at recoil and let's see what these guns are bringing to the table. So at first glance here, the ISO is definitely trying to take the trophy for the less recoil amongst these SMGs. However, the MP5 on the right is really surprising as well. Even after the recoil control nerf, it still handles pretty well. It's very close between the MP5 and the ISO. Obviously these recoil patterns are never 100% accurate, but it does look like the ISO and the MP5 kind of follow that same slightly to the right, a little bit up trend. The MP7 is a slightly more exaggerated version of that. As for the Fennec, I couldn't tell you what the hell it's got going on over there. And that's pretty much all I wanted to discuss today between these weapons. I think unlike the AN4 we dissected the other day, the ISO is going to have a much more active lifestyle in this game. It's got moderate damage, superior range, and very manageable recoil. The MP5 continues to prove what a beast it is, therefore we can't really expect the ISO to knock off the MP5 so easily, but in terms of multiplayer, I think the ISO definitely has a place and is definitely a weapon that will give you an edge in certain situations. To use it in Warzone would be to maximize the potential of the range and the handling that the gun gives you, perhaps to be used as a secondary to a sniper rifle, whereas an MP5 would be ideal if you're rocking an assault rifle as a secondary. Nevertheless, Infinity Ward has outdone themselves again with another great and useful addition to this game, so hats off to them. I have to go, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.